Dave Sussman back at CPAC 2017, and I'm delighted to be joined today by New York Times bestselling authors, journalists, and filmmakers Phelim McAleer and Anne McElhinney. How are you both?
Thank you very much. You did a
Did
really
I get
good
the names
job.
right?
He did a really good job on the names. Yeah. A lot of people around here are nervous about the names, so you did a really great job.
Yeah. Well, thank you for joining us, and I thought it would be a wonderful opportunity for our viewers to learn about you and what you've been doing, not only with your film, but other areas as well that I'd love to touch upon briefly as well. When I heard your voice, I knew exactly who you were, so we're going to get into that in just a moment. But first and foremost, what many of our viewers would be extremely interested in is Gosnell. Yeah. Tell us about this book and now the film.
Yeah. So this is a book about the abortion doctor Kermit Gosnell. A lot of your listeners and viewers know who that is. He ran a horrible, disgusting, filthy abortion clinic in West Philadelphia. He is sitting today in a prison in Huntington in Pennsylvania, serving 3 life sentences for delivering babies alive and then cutting their necks with scissors. And he did this over a 30-year killing spree. And he was only caught by accident by the good fortune of an undercover narcotics officer called Jim Wood. We write about that in the book. This is like a crime. It's like the crime story of the century. People who like crime, and a lot of the bookstores actually have the book in the crime section. It's sold out within 24 hours on Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and Amazon. It went to number 3 all over the country. It's an extraordinary story. It's an extraordinary story of this awful man. So this story, this animal, this monster, Kermit Gosnell, is only in prison today, is only in prison because of this one cop, this undercover narcotics officer. This guy ran this hellhole of a clinic, and the Department of Health in Pennsylvania did nothing. The Department of State in Pennsylvania did nothing. And you know, one of the reasons they did nothing, unfortunately, is because of a Republican governor, Governor Tom Ridge of Pennsylvania, who was elected in 1995 on a pro-choice ticket, who basically said, you know, hands off the abortion clinics, hands off, don't do anything that might interfere with a woman's right to choose. And as a result of that, this craziness went on for so many years. The bodies were literally piling up in the basement. When Jim Wood eventually caught up with this guy, there was 47 bodies in the basement of the clinic. 2 women had died, and no one from the Department of Health thought it was worth their while to get in the car and inspect.
And this was all in Pennsylvania?
And this is all in Pennsylvania, in West Philadelphia, at 3801 Lancaster Avenue. And this book chronicles the stories of what happened there, how he got caught. It tells also the story of the media, who just completely had the most unbelievable dereliction of duty, who never covered the story. To this day, lots of your viewers know, they've heard of Michael Brown. The whole planet Earth has heard of Michael Brown. Michael Brown was a thug who assaulted an immigrant in a corner shop in Ferguson, Missouri, and then stole stuff from that corner shop, walked up the middle of the street in Ferguson, tried to beat a police officer to death in his police car, and died for his efforts. And suddenly this guy is a hero around the world. No one's heard of Samika Shaw. 22-year-old African-American woman died after a botched abortion at this clinic in 2000. And the Department of Health in Pennsylvania, in progressive Pennsylvania, didn't think it was worthwhile to find out what happened to Samika Shaw. They never inspected the clinic. And if they had taken the time to walk in there, there were cats walking around. There were jars and jars of babies' feet, severed feet, that were kept in the clinic. And they'd have seen that. If they'd walked in, they'd have seen that straight away. He didn't try to hide any of this because he was getting away with murder in plain sight.
What brought you to this story?
Well, actually, we made a documentary called Frack Nation, and I happened to be in Pennsylvania promoting the documentary. And I went, I had a few days off in Philadelphia, and as a journalist, I opened the local newspaper and said, what's all going on? So I saw this very, very interesting court case, the Gosnell case. It's a local story, and I went in, and there in front of me was, Gosnell, and on the left was this picture the size of this wall of baby boy A, one of his victims. It was the most horrific picture I've ever seen in 25 years of journalism. Most horrific evidence I've ever heard. But even more shocking was behind me was the empty press benches. Like, it was really weird because we're in such a media world. It's almost like if it's not in the media, if the press aren't there covering it, it's like, am I really hearing this? Is this real?
Is it real? Is it true?
So I came back to Los Angeles and said to Anne, this is our next project, and they said no, it's not. Anne and Magda said no, it's not. Because we weren't into abortion, we don't do abortion, it's not our thing. And then I ordered the transcripts, sent it to them, gave it to them, and a few days later they came to me and said, this is what we're doing now. So it was basically, as journalists, we just could not believe this story. We could not believe that journalists were not covering it. We knew there was so much more to this story than met the eye. It's a great story as a journalist, and it's
an extraordinary story.
It's a piece of American history too. Actually, that's an important thing. This is American history. This is
unrecorded American history.
I went into journalism, to give voice to the voiceless, and there's nobody more voiceless than Kermit Gosnell's victims, babies who lived for an hour, African American women. A refugee. One of his victims is a refugee.
So before this, you were an activist in the abortion movement.
No, not at all. We're journalists. We're just telling a story here. And before this, we would have been, I would say for sure, the description would be neutral on abortion. And the translation of that for any viewers who want to know is that's basically pro-abortion. But we got a very swift education. And I think it's kind of an interesting, I think a lot of pro-lifers are saying to me, that they find it very. They have had their eyes opened by reading this book, because I think we've come to this as journalists thinking, here's a thing I never knew anything about, and we've been very forensic in the way that we have presented this book and sifted through the evidence, and it is damning, and it's damning of the abortion practices that are going on in America right now. I mean, I think I even today, we spoke yesterday here on the main stage in CPAC, and I was saying, I didn't know that you could have an abortion in America legally at 9 months, all over the country, by the way, in lots of places. And people in the audience were going, well, I didn't know that either. And we're here at CPAC. If people here at CPAC don't know that, do you think the people out there know that? And we certainly know in this case with Philadelphia, with Pennsylvania, the law in Pennsylvania is 24 weeks. That's 6 months. A lot of people know a 6-month pregnant woman. That's a lot. That's a big baby. That's whatever. A person's very, very pregnant. People don't know the law, and we think that this book is playing a very strong part in educating a reluctant audience to find out exactly what it is that's going on in this country.
We obviously now have a political situation where you have a presidency, you have the House, the Congress, you have most states and governorships around the country. Do you believe something like this book and the film will in any way shape the debate and even maybe policy over the next 4 to 8 years?
I think this is going to be, I think the timing is unbelievable. I think the stars are aligned. For people on the pro-life side, this is extraordinary because this book is coming out, it's factual, it is unimpeachable. The book is unimpeachable. Mm-hmm. The movie is unimpeachable. Everything happened in court.
What would you hope to happen? Are you talking about
people's
curtailing?
heart gets changed. People's hearts will get changed.
But from a policy standpoint, are you talking about instead of 9 months, maybe 4 months, 3 months? What?
I mean, at the end of the day, we're journalists, not activists.
Right.
So people, this is a truthful book. People need the truth to be informed, and then they can make policy decisions. Let them.
We're not the policymakers.
We're not the policymakers. I mean, if you look at the opening, Anne said, we're not policymakers. We're not pro-life activists. We're journalists. That's the strength of the book. And we're filmmakers. We're storytellers. The film is heavily based on the transcripts. Once you read this book, all the jury went from pro-choice to either pro-life or, not really sure now. The lawyers changed. Anyone who learns the truth about Gosnell, also but the truth, but see, to distinguish between Gosnell and legal abortions, they brought in a good legal abortionists.
Two of them.
That was the only time the jury gasped during the whole trial when they heard the details of a legal abortion. So they had one of the doctors up and they said, hey, you're a doctor, to establish his expertise. He says, how many abortions have you done? And he said 40,000.
Exactly. And the jury kind of they just gasped. They made an audible gasp.
Yeah, it's incredible. So one last question on this issue for you. Since the book, since the film, what's the experience been for you both personally? How has society and other journalists and media responded to this?
Well, that's very interesting. So this book, so it came out January 24th, and people can go to gosnellbook.com to buy a copy. It's sold out within about 48 hours on every platform, on Amazon, on Books A Million, and on Barnes & Noble. People were buying it in such numbers. It went to number 3 on all books sold in every genre on Amazon twice that week, right? No mainstream media, not one mainstream media outlet has interviewed us. We have a publicist who's phoning them up asking, can we get on The View, can we get on ABC, on NBC, on any of these, NPR? No one wants us. So it's really interesting. So yeah, so this story has been dogged by liberals trying to censor it from the get-go. And that's not over. So
Right.
what we're going to do with the movie is we're going to break through that by getting this a mainstream release in theatres, coming to a theatre near you, coming to an AMC near you. But that's been the reaction.
When is the release on this?
The fall of 2017. That's
Okay.
that's our plan.
As journalists, we should have been fighting back other journalists to cover this story. I mean,
Sure.
it's a crime story. It's America's most prolific serial killer. It's about a national issue. No one wanted to write about this.
We weren't in competition with anyone else. No one
Right.
else was writing this book. And in fact, it hadn't even occurred to us. We went to speak at an event and a publisher came forward and said, you should really write this book. We had so much information. We had so much information that could never be in the movie, but that was incredible. I mean, incredible stories. And people who've read this, people have written to us, they said it's like people have read it in one day. It's a page turner.
Yeah, and it's obviously it's damning and earth-shaking as well. You've got quite a reputation as well. I mean, when I met you the other night and we were having drinks, and you started talking, and I said to you, "I know you. I've seen you."
This is so funny. I can't believe it. This is so funny.
Well, tell the audience what I'm referring to here, because
this is 2017, folks. Yeah, so 2011. This is 2011. This happened.
Right.
I was invited to speak to a group of students at Temple University in Philadelphia. Right in Philadelphia. This is long before there was ever any Kermit Gosnell, and a social justice warrior student basically became completely hysterical. And said to me, called me, and I don't know if I can use the language.
Sure.
Yeah, called me, "You're a goddamn idiot," she
Right.
said, right? And said that in her whole life she'd never come across anyone more ignorant. And didn't I know that climate change was a massive problem and that we were all going to die, basically, because 98% of all scientists in the world agree.
That was her first mistake.
That was her first mistake. 98% of all scientists agree that we're all about to die because the seas are rising and the ice caps are melting and all this kind of stuff. So she went into this massive rant, and eventually she kind of calmed down enough for me to speak. And I just took her on. Let's put it that way. I took her on, and I suppose the point I made, but people can find this on YouTube.
Dave, you saw it. You've
Half
seen
a million people have seen it
The
so
link
far.
is going to be right under this video, so right after this, watch this and look for the big hair.
Look for the big hair. But I basically, it was like, I mean, for the viewers, the famous scene in The Exorcist, people of a certain age, like my age, will remember that, when there was the kid in the bed and the head
Reagan.
started going around in the green. Yeah, this is basically what happens to her, so it's well worth a view.
It's fantastic.
That happened in 2011, and it sat on YouTube, and then someone posted it.
Somebody
only
posted it
a couple of months
recently.
ago, and suddenly it's got 1 million views.
it's
And
incredible.
people are writing to me. It's really funny. I've got like boys writing to me from Jordan, and saying things like, "This is the most amazing video. Thank you very much for doing this." And people from all over the world are writing. So it's been a lot
the
of
comment section on this video is quite incredible as well. But listen, getting back to the book here, where can people find you and the book? Amazon, where?
So basically, go to gosnellbook.com. It'll bring you to the landing page where you can buy the
Amazon.
book. Or Amazon. But
Or wherever all good books are sold.
Exactly. But if you go to Amazon, you can also get the ebook is there, and we also have an Audible version. So I actually do a narration of the book myself, and it's kind of an interesting story. If I could take 2 minutes to just tell you that. So it was very professionally done. We're based in Hollywood, and they did a kind of you go into a booth when you're narrating the book, and so I'm in the booth, whatever, and I've got the headphones on, and I'm starting to read it. I was getting upset reading it, by the way, to be honest with you. But you take a break. You say, "I'm going to take a break. I'm going to stand outside the booth and just get some air or whatever." And I come out, and the woman who was producing, who was super liberal, she had explained to me that she was pro-choice, very super liberal, in tears. She's in floods of tears. Came up, hugged me. We worked on this book with her for a week, and she said she had changed her mind about abortion because of reading the book. Because she had to listen to everything that I said very carefully and be very attuned.
Right.
Because if I made a mistake, we had to go back over it. And she said it was life-altering. And she had actually taken parts of what I recorded and played it to liberal friends who had changed their mind about abortion as a result of what they heard, which I thought was quite the compliment.
Well, it certainly is, and it's obviously because this is an extremely compelling piece of work, and I think everybody out there should read the book. And in the fall, we're going to see the movie.
And people can go to gosnellmovie.com and give us $1. We have 29,000 people so far have contributed $2.3 million for the making of the movie. Now we've got to get the movie out. So join the 29,000 of a fantastic community we've developed here.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Appreciate you both taking the time.
Thank
and
you
we'll
guys.
find you online.
We really appreciate it.
Thank you. All right, thanks.